And another thing that you brought up in the notes that I find very interesting, myopia. You've found that it is growing in children, and we've got a lot of parents, maybe grandparents listening. Tell us a little bit about what it is and why you think that's a trend.
Well, myopia is simply nearsightedness. This is where the focus point of the eye reaches a focus point before it hits the retina. Anyways, you're blurred and you have to wear glasses to see. Why is that important? Well, let's go back to the causes. The causes could be genetic. There's nothing you can do about that. But over the last few decades, we've done a lot of long-term studies, especially in Asia, to find out the causes. So the second cause next to genetics is environment. So the two most common is near work, and number one, and number two, decreased lighting. Okay. I remember they did a simple experiment with chickens. That's one way to test it. They would patch one chicken's eye, and the other eye would let it run out normal. And after some time, the patched eye would be nearsighted. Okay,
couldn't see far away.
You couldn't see far away. Okay, so once it goes, decreased lights. What are kids doing compared to our generation? They're staying at home, less light, less sunlight. They're doing more near work. So that lens in the eye has something to do with that mechanism to increase the rate of myopia. So who cares? You got myopia, we'll give you glasses or contacts. Well, here's the problem. If you have advanced myopia, it could potentially cause serious eye problems. And here's a couple of the serious eye problems that can happen with myopia. You have a higher incidence of retinal degeneration. You have a higher incidence of retinal problems, macular degeneration due to myopia. Glaucoma is increased risk. Wow. Cataracts increased risk. You have visual impairment. These are potential problems for society. So if you have visual impairments, that's a problem. So we're trying to find ways. The next step is to prevent it.
And you mentioned light, too. Forgive me if this is a silly question, but screen time and that artificial light versus, children aren't going outside and playing as much in sunlight. Is there a difference to the eye when we're talking about different lighting?
Absolutely. Obviously, natural sunlight's better. So it's a tough one. So today's world, as you know, even for us, is the phone. We're looking everything very close. So the computer's very close. Kids, same way.
Right.
But as a parent, a couple things you can do is take some breaks for the kids. Just as simple as putting the phone down and just looking into the distance a couple times a day.
Don't go from one screen to the other. Let's not look up from the tablet to the TV, right?
Exactly. Take a couple breaks. Maybe increase the lighting instead of a totally dark room. Increase the lighting, simple stuff such as that. Increase the distance to the screen. That may help a little bit. So if you can do simple steps as that might help.
Whether it's children or adults trying to fall asleep, they do tell us less screen time. Don't look at the phone right before bed. Don't be reading the tablet or the Kindle or whatever right before bed. I'm sure it is very stimulative to your brain, and that's part of the reason why. But what would maybe the harmful effects of that be, just trying to get your eyes to relax and rest before bed?
Well, that's one factor. Yeah, screen time. You're really working your lens muscle to look at that. There's a little strain on that. Also, just from the light from the screen will disrupt your sleep cycle. So if you can control that, that will help your sleep cycle in some patients.
You may not need melatonin after all, folks. Just common practices, good practices to get your mind right before you go to bed.